I have come to spill the tea. The tea! Ah, so good. Hello everyone, this is Sakura. Okaeri to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today is a momentous day because I am doing my 1000 subscribers special. I just wanted to say thank you so much for following my channel, and I'm really excited that you're here. So as the title suggests, I am spilling the tea today, although it is iced tea because it's hot as in Japan in the summer and I cannot drink hot tea right now. For this video, I wanted to do a Q&A because I wanted you to get to know a little bit more about me. I know I talk a lot about my career, which is a little bit more objective, you know, my life in Japan and do vlogs, but I have a hard time showing my personality on camera. So this is just really for me and you to connect, for you to get to know me and hopefully learn new things about me that you didn't know before. I'm gonna be answering some pretty intense questions and I think authenticity and vulnerability is the best way to get to know someone. So without me babbling on in the intro, let's get started. Alright, so let's cover the basics. I am Japanese American. I was born in Japan and then I grew up mostly my whole life in my childhood in the United States. I currently live in Tokyo. I moved here 6 years ago from the Chicago area. I am very happily married to my favorite person in the entire world. I have a couple siblings that live very much near me that I'm really close to. So let's answer the first question. Do you feel more American or more Japanese? This is a really hard question. When I was in the United States growing up, I felt really connected to my Japanese culture. My parents would expose us to Japanese food. My mom cooked Japanese food pretty much exclusively. On Saturdays, we went to Japanese school, and after that, we had a tradition as a family to go to Mitsumo Marketplace near Chicago, and that was the Japanese supermarket where we could buy these Japanese foods and also rent Japanese anime and shows. The way we spend the Saturdays together as a family kind of doing Japanese things in a very casual way. I was always aware that I was a little bit different in my predominantly white and also Mexican neighborhood. I always saw growing up being Asian as like some kind of token where I thought it was like funny or different, but was feeling a little bit insecure about it. When I came to Japan, it was the entire opposite. The moment I set foot in Japan and started working here and everything, I felt so American, not only because I was obviously culturally American due to growing up there and the way that I think and the way that I speak and my mannerisms, but the Japanese people here also treated me as an outsider and as a foreigner. There's a term called kyokushijo, which means returnee, which is a very specific word of saying you're a Japanese person or citizen, but you went abroad and came back to Japan. But anyway, I was never seen as truly Japanese here. I am both, but I also am neither because I feel rejected by both. This is not a great start. I'm sorry, this is kind of dark. Alright, so let's get to the second question, which is, why did you move to Japan? AKA my villain origin story. And I promise in the future I will make a video about this as well, but this just isn't the right timing yet and I want to make sure I put a lot of thought into it before I do. So, why did I move to Japan? Well, you see, I told you that I was born in Japan, which means that I'm a Japanese citizen. When we moved to America, it was actually because of my dad's work. Hence, I was under my dad's work visa. Hence, I was never a US citizen, or we were never on a trajectory to become green card holders or a citizen. So growing up in my life, I didn't think anything of it until I hit college, and when I started applying, my parents said, hey, you should probably return to Japan. And I said, no way. And that's when I realized that I actually could not stay in America despite having lived there legally for my entire life of 18, 19 years at that time. And that was really devastating. After college, if you don't already know, if you're an international student, which I was considered as, you need to have a visa-sponsored job if you want to live and work in the US. And it was crazy to me that someone who had lived and abided by the legal regulations in the US for my entire life, you know, and I would say it wasn't obviously my choice to come here and live there, I was not able to stay in America. No companies would touch you if you need a sponsorship for most of the time, unless you're like a engineer maybe. Even then it's really tough. So basically the reason why I'm in Japan is because I had to be back. I had to return to this country because it's technically my home country where I have citizenship. Now I know a lot of people are like, oh, but you're so lucky that it's Japan, but I think that's really hard for me to hear because that minimizes the actual pain in and the challenges that I went through, uprooting your whole life and your friends and your community and everything that you established and built, throwing that away and moving to essentially, for me, kind of like a new country. I'm sorry, this is not a good start either. So that's why I'm here. And to be honest, the first couple years were the hardest, but 6 years in, finally, after 6 years, I am finally happy here. I'm content with the life that I have here. Although I don't see myself living here for the rest of my life, I have established a life that I love here and I cherish here. So yeah, anyway, let's talk about something that is really big on my channel, which is about my career. First of all, what do I do for a living? I've been working non-tech roles at big American tech companies in Tokyo for the last 6 years, which is the entirety of my career. Currently, I work as a learning and development lead for an American fintech company. Let's take it one step further. Do I love my job? I hope people don't come at me for this. So, something that I realized is career is very important to me. I would consider myself a very ambitious person and want to excel and succeed, whatever that means, in my career journey. However, one of the biggest takeaways that I learned in the 6 years of my career is that work is not everything. Work is not my #1 priority. Work is somewhere that I go to get paid for the skills that I have. So I don't know if I really believe in loving your job. I mean, I think unless you're really passionate about the actual work that you do, that you think will make an impact in the world, and you're really, identifying with that role, I think it's really hard for most people to say that they love their job just because it really is a means to an end, at least for me. However, what I will say about my current role is that it's honestly the best one that I've had. And it's the best one in a lot of different ways. One, I get to work fully remotely. I have amazing work-life balance. I have an awesome manager, amazing team. The work that I do on an everyday basis is really challenging, but not in the ways that I don't want it to be. So everything about my job right now is perfect for me at this point in the stage in my life. So I do love my job in that sense, and I see myself working here for quite a long time if I can continue and if I don't get laid off. The short answer is yes and no. No, because I don't really believe in job becoming like the main love of your life. Oh wait, I just realized I'm missing a nail. Oh, that's so, oh, okay, anyway. But yes, I feel like I am in the best position that I've always wanted and feel like I can really thrive in at the moment. I also have 2 questions that I got from the audience when I posted on my community tab. And the first question is, I'm curious of what ultimately made you do the job change. When do you know how to make the initial action to change jobs? So this is a great question. I think that, like this person mentioned, when I first starting any role, I never have the thought of, oh, I'm only going to be here for a few years, or I don't want to continue what I'm doing because I'm really excited. But what ultimately made me decide to quit Apple, quit Google, and join the company that I am now, in the role that I am now, is in the roles that I have been at previously, I felt like I was, one, wasting my potential because I knew what I valued and I knew what I was really good at, and I feel like the skill set that I had and was excelling at was not really a part of the role itself. So I felt like I was wasting my time because I could be growing somewhere else in a different role rather than the role that I was doing there. Another thing was, and it's kind of related to the first point, but I really didn't like the role that I was doing. Every day I felt like I was not in the right place, even though I had an amazing team working at great companies and all these benefits that you can think of. At the end of the day, when I looked at the work that I was doing, I asked myself, am I happy doing this? Do I feel like I'm doing good work? And the answer was no. So those are some of the things that I asked myself that triggered me wanting to change jobs. But I will say it did take quite a while for me to actually take action to apply to other jobs and also get another job because of the stability that I had. If you're interested in learning more details about my career journey and how I pivoted twice in these 2 roles, I actually made a video about it, so I'll link it up here. The second question that I got from you guys is, maybe this will be answered in one of your videos you mentioned, but I was wondering if you can, tell us what it's like to work for a US-based company but live in Japan or other Asian countries. Amazing question. Thank you so much for this. And again, I will link a video that I just currently made about what it's like working in American big tech in Japan. The short answer is it's great. You get a lot of the benefits and the global mindset and values and cultural aspects that you would be having, if you were based in a big tech company somewhere else, but you also get to appreciate and learn about the local branch that you are at or the local office that you are at. And there's a lot of cultural nuance that goes really deep into the business practices and the mindset that is obviously practiced in the local area. So it's really interesting because you get the stability and the benefits of a global company while exploring this very interesting and different aspect that I think you would never be able to get had you worked in HQ or somewhere else. Okay, so let's get to the hard questions. I don't know if I'm ready to answer these, but this is for the sake of you getting to know me, so it's okay. So the first question is my biggest regret in life. This is kind of a hard question for me because although when I look back on things, I ask myself, could I have done things a better way in this situation or blah blah blah, I feel like everything that I have done so far has ultimately led me to the life I have now and the person that I have now. And in that term, I don't really have any big regrets. However, there is something that I wish would have done, and that is two things. One is be more confident growing up, and number two is spend real time, like a lot of time, building and nurturing my natural curiosity and interest in things. I think most of us realize that when you grow up and start a job, you really need something else to sustain you. Of course, work can be a big part of your life, and if you're really passionate about it, that's amazing. But again, the lesson that I learned in my career is that it's not my number one priority. Therefore, I'm always looking for ways to grow in different ways or mediums. So I love trying new things, I love taking classes, I love just exploring things. And the biggest thing that I struggled with, or one of the biggest things, was trying to find a hobby that actually stuck and something that I could continuously do. I feel like when I was growing up, I just did the things that I thought I was supposed to do, like just study really hard, do sports even though I really didn't like doing sports, and I never really got to pursue the things that I was interested in. I know it's really cheesy, but I took a photography class for like 3-4 years in high school and I loved it. And I think that part, that I guess creative part of me still exists because I'm right here in front of you making YouTube videos, but I wish that I had taken it more seriously to nurture that curiosity and interest. I think that natural curiosity is so hard to maintain as an adult because you have competing priorities, but it's such an important part of your life. The second part that I talk about is about confidence. Growing up, I really didn't have any confidence. So I spent a lot of my time negatively self-talking and kind of putting myself in a vicious cycle, never thinking I'm good enough for anybody, and that really damaged my self-confidence and my individuality, I think, because it took a long time for me to really feel like myself and be happy with who I am and the values that I have. So if I could go back in time, I will tell my 13-year-old self and be like, do whatever you want. Like, no one's gonna remember anything that you did anyway, after you grow up, and the only thing that can really make you happy is knowing who you are and surrounding yourself with the things that do make you happy, or the people or community that do make you happy. Had I fostered a better sense of myself, I think life would have been a little bit easier down the road. Going off of this, what is my biggest insecurity? This is also a big one. So I would say there's two things that I'm most physically insecure about, and that was acne and my nose. Again, living in a predominantly white neighborhood with white, beauty standards, I really always hated my nose. And it's really interesting to me now that I look back because no one has ever said anything negative about my nose, but I hated it so much. I mean, it's so weird how we perceive our flaws to be so important and such a big part of our lives when other people don't even care. Still to this day, sometimes I feel like, oh, I wish I had a different nose, but at the same time, I'm like, this is my nose. This is the nose I got from my dad. This is a nose that fits in my face. So why would I care? I definitely feel a little bit more confident in how I look now, but back then that was something that was really a big thing for me. Another thing was acne. So I know right now I'm very happy with how my skin looks, and my skin looks great, at this angle and in this lighting and in this camera, but I still suffer from adult acne, and I have suffered from acne for pretty much my whole life. It has been such a detriment to my self-confidence, and if you have never experienced severe acne, I am very jealous of you because it really does a number on how you feel and perceive yourself. I've been on the birth control pill for like 10 years now, and I remember I tried going off of it once when I was in college just to kind of, because I didn't need it, and I just think, once I just want to detox my body. But once I did, my acne went insane, and I just remember sitting in front of the mirror, going like this to my face and feeling every single bump on my face and just starting to cry and think, how can I go out looking like this? And I'm so happy again with where my skin is at now. It's definitely much under control, but I still have a lot of pimples and a lot of acne scars that I guess you can cover with makeup, but I hope by the time that I'm 30 that I can get rid of adult acne, but you know what? I feel like that's too high of a goal to have, so I'm just trying not to stress about it. The biggest insecurity I had that was not physical was feeling like I wasn't good enough, feeling not pretty enough or good enough for somebody in my life to maybe love me. I had gone through a lot of different friendships when I was growing up, and I always felt like, why does everyone leave me? And then I had a couple of relationships growing up as well, and I just felt like I was always chasing this perfect version of myself that never existed because I'm a human being, I'm not perfect. And I think partially that is, I'm not blaming him, but I think it's partially due to the event of having my first boyfriend that I was really obsessed with in high school, and he told me to my face while we were dating that he had a crush on this beautiful brown-haired girl that was so pretty, and obviously she was white, and then also he flirted with this blonde hair, blue-eyed, big boob beauty, and I just felt like, why are you even dating me? What? Am I not good enough for you? So again, these things I feel like really shaped my self-confidence growing up, but right now obviously it's not something that I care about, and I have someone that I'm with that I'm so incredibly lucky to be with, who makes me feel so whole as a person and feel so loved and accepted. So if you're watching this video and maybe you're younger and thinking, why am I not good enough? Why am I not pretty enough? Forget about it, because the people that love you and really accept you and will take care of you will not judge you for the flaws that you have. They'll help you become a better person, and they'll really accept you and see you for the whole person that you are, not just the good parts or the bad parts. Alright, so the next question, oh yes. The next question is, what is my most embarrassing moment? So just to set the scene, this was probably about 5-6 years ago when I just started working in Apple retail. So I was the person, if you can imagine, going into an Apple store selling you a product. And I have to preface this by saying that my Japanese language, although I grew up speaking it, I was not comfortable with it. I could speak it casually and I didn't really have an accent, but it was still not my native language. So it took a long time for me to be able to actually speak it fluently in business level, but at this time I was not. So that's the preface. I need emotional support, Mifi, because I still cringe about this to this day. So I was selling an iPhone to a couple, a very nice couple, and I would say maybe they were in their 40s, maybe nearing their 50s, but they were old, a little bit older, and I saw a picture of kids on their iPhone that they're currently using. Okay. And what I meant to say was, anata no oko-san desu ka? Or hey, is that your kids? That's super cute. What came out of my mouth was, anata no mago desu ka? That means, is that your grandchildren? Now, when you hear this, some of you might think, what's the big deal? You said, are these your grandchildren? I mean, it's not that off because they are a little bit older, but what you have to understand about Japanese culture is that, one, it's a lot of passive aggression. So when you say offhanded comments like this, it sounds super passive aggressive. Like I am telling them, oh my god, you're so old, you're too old to be a parent, you must be a grandparent. And that's not what I meant to say. Second, age is also a really discriminatory thing in Japan. For example, my mom just turned 60 and she can't even apply to places because she's too old for full-time jobs and her options are really limited. So there has been historically discrimination due to age. So people are very sensitive about this stuff. And I cannot believe that came out of my mouth, and as soon as I said it, It took me a second, but I realized what I said, and their faces were just, they were like, and the husband, I assume, looked at me and said, "No, these are my children. Yeah, kodomo desu." And to this day, I wish I could find that couple and say, "I am so sorry. I never meant to say it was your grandchildren. I knew it was your kids." But folks, that's why it's important to learn your language, because things like this can happen and haunt you for the rest of your life. I'm so sorry. So that is my most recent embarrassing moment that I still can't get out of my head and think about late at night when I can't sleep and think about how horrible person I am, even though I never meant to be. Another question is something I'm obsessed with lately. I have something. This little guy, this little Miffy, it's a little bit of a problem. So we actually went to a game center the very recently, obviously, and I spent somehow like 2,000 yen trying to get this little guy, and once I got it, I realized how cute Miffy was, and then that's when the problem started. Here's a little Boris mirror that I got recently. Okay. And then I went to a mall recently and I saw a gachapon, which is like the machines that the capsules come out of, and I got this cute little Miffy that I think I'm going to put on my desk. Last but not least, my favorite Miffy product, my AirPods case. Look at how cute it is! I actually don't really get obsessed with things, and I don't really have an addictive personality. I do get fixated on things, obviously, but I don't know. I found Miffy to be very comforting to me. I never been like a fan of plushies or anything. I do have a couple of them now, but it just makes me happy because it's so cute and so comfy and just brings me so much joy to have Miffy's face around me. So yeah, it's a little embarrassing, but yeah, that's something that I'm currently obsessed with. Last question. I think one of the most important questions for people watching this right now is, why did I start this channel? And what do I want people to get out of it? I just basically wanted to make a channel with resources that could actually practically help people and give insight into the field that I'm in. The other reasons I started my channel was definitely to have an outlet for creativity. Again, I was going crazy just working really hard the last few years, and I really wanted something to work towards and have, you know, enjoyment and fulfillment doing something, and that always led me to creating something. That's one of the reasons why I also make vlogs, because I really enjoy making those types of videos for me to look back on and see the things that I've done and documenting my life. But I also want to bring, because I know for some people, comfort for people who watch vlogs, because it's just like a nice little glimpse into somebody else's life. I want you to feel not as alone, or I just want you to feel like I'm like a friend that you're talking to, and it may inspire you, it may make you laugh, it may make you cry. I just want people to feel something when they watch my vlogs. So I'm still working on that. I'm still working on the style that I want to make, but at the end of the day, I wanted to make enjoyable content as well. Lastly, I will be very transparent. I think that right now in the world, we have such great resources for each person to become more freelance or more free in ways that we probably couldn't have before. And I don't want to be a full-time creator. That is not my intention, and that's not really the goal that I have. But I do feel like a different stream of income other than my core job is really beneficial for me now and also in the future. I think the perfect life for me in the future would be that I would work a tech or just like corporate, stable, fun job that I enjoy doing like part-time, maybe 2-3 days a week, and then taking more time the rest of the week to do content creation, not full-time, but I guess part-time. And then that would allow me the flexibility to work from anywhere, half the time do something that I really love doing and creating, and half the time doing something more impactful, something that I have a little bit more structure and goal-oriented thoughts for, because it's important for me to feel like I'm progressing as well. So that was the 1000 subscriber Q&A. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you watched all the way till the end, I'm so happy to have you in this channel. If you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me if you want to watch my videos. If you don't want to watch my videos, please feel free to unsubscribe. That's okay. I'm not forcing you to be here, holding you hostage. And I'm really looking forward to creating more content for you in the future. Thanks so much. Bye.